Welcome to episode 36 of the Toadstool Boardroom for the week of March 22nd, 2023. My name is Logan Plant, and finally back in the boardroom this week, it's Chris Schreiber. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
But Justin's not here. We can't get the three of us in the same place. It can't happen.
We're all Batman.
Oh.
You've never seen us all in the same room.
So maybe just you two are, because I've been here every week with one.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
I'm Robin.
We're both Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a good show coming up. This is the Eulogy for the Wii U and 3DS eShops. That's been very popular on the internet this week. So I don't think we're really going to go into a ton of our recommendations because there's a bunch of resources out there for you to look at that stuff. Maybe just spotlight some of our favorites that we really encourage you to check out. Just a couple. We're also going to talk about some of your listener emails, which I'm very excited about. Someone sent in a question about new Nintendo IP, which I'm always excited to talk about. Plus, what is real, Chris? The Loch Ness Monster, or Bigfoot, or aliens? That's an exciting one that we'll get to. What is that?
Is that a question we got?
No, it's not. It's the next Splatfest. That's the next Splatfest, which is really cool.
I love that.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that a little bit too. But let's kick it off here with the 3DS and Wii U eShops. We are recording here on the 22nd, which means there are only 5 days left for you to go and buy games on either 3DS or Wii U before the shops officially close on March 27th. And I like a madman. I set up my new 3DS, my old 3DS, and my Wii U, and I sent a picture to you guys in the boardroom chat, and I was like, "Here we go." And I spent a little bit of a pretty penny on some games, but I think what I want to kick it off here with, and also Chris, you're here, and you're the king of emulation, but it's hard to commit to spending a bunch of money when these purchases aren't backed up anywhere. And that was always the deal with digital games on these consoles, but everyone's like, oh, go, buy all these things. And it's like, we're having stories about Wii U's bricking. And if your Wii U bricks, those purchasers are just gone. So before we share a bunch of our favorite games and say, go buy these, it's like, I feel like there's a big asterisk attached because it's like, it could be gone in a snap.
First of all, I'm so glad you brought this up, but I'm also kind of shocked you brought this up because I didn't know if we were going to dip into the put my pirate hat on and
I knew you would if I didn't.
Yeah, there's a meme that is out there that I'm waiting for the eShop to close, and if any of you take it, I'll be very upset. Where it's like this guy, people use it for Photoshop too. It's like you can always bootleg Photoshop. It is morally correct. There's another one for you can always pirate Nintendo games when they're not for sale anymore. And emulation for this situation is interesting because I historically have always disliked DS emulation, and Citra, while it is good, most games it's just a weird experience. I've tried playing the first 5 or 6 hours of Ocarina of Time on a PC 7 or 8 times. And
Ocarina of Time 3D, it's just, the 3DS port?
Yeah, Ocarina of Time 3D. It always just feels dirty.
Yeah.
Because you have that split screen thing, you're only playing, unless you're playing it on a stacked set of monitors or something like that. That's really only the way, for me at least, that it would feel normal. I can't do it where they're side by side. It feels very unnatural to me. Plus, it's not a touch screen. You're using a mouse usually, and you're kind of limited to what games that you're able to play. So to that end, with 3DS especially, I think if there are... it's like a tale of two different mindsets. You either are oh my gosh, there's all this stuff I have to buy before it disappears because this is my last chance, physical prices are going out the window. And then there's the other camp where it's you've had this system since 2012 if you bought it on launch day.
2011.
And you're 2011.
3DS,
you still haven't, because I was in high school. You still haven't bought these games. And granted, some of them came out later in the life cycle. Some of them may have come out when the Switch came out, or you were at a different point in your life and stuff like that. I get that because I fall into that same camp. But at the same time, it's at what point do you look at the library and go, old game is old? Not that it should be allowed to die on the vine, because I think that is also wrong. But I think that's a big part of the reason that I do beat the drum of, it's kind of easier than ever to hack a 3DS or hack a Wii U and get whatever games you want on them at this point. And I can't I don't know. I have a hard time just like the perfect example that I can think of is there was a hot minute today where I was like, do I buy Metroid Prime Federation Force? Because I don't own a copy of it yet.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, no, that game is like famously terrible. Like it is not good.
I don't know if that's true.
And
I think it's just not what people want Metroid to be.
it's not what people want Metroid to be, but like also even taking a step further, that is a multiplayer
I
based
think we should play
game.
I think we should play.
We
through it.
can't. The servers are off. I gotta fly to you. It's
Are
a
they
whole
off?
thing. Yeah.
For what?
If they're not, they're about to be.
No,
I was watching.
online play's continuing for these for a while. There's still
I-
going. I'll look it
I
up,
think
but
that one might be off. And I only say that because I was watching. Xeon from Nintendo Life had a video where he talks about 3DS. And I think that was a title that he mentioned. Like you can only play locally, and that's the case for a lot of these games at this point. But that's what I mean is like we're talking about games that have been out for almost a decade at this point.
Yeah.
Some less, like Federation Force came out 2015. But I'm still like, there's no reason for me to shell out the money for that at this point.
Yeah.
A bigger fish to fry.
I think that there are. I think there's examples that kind of circumvent that rule. I agree with you. It's like, yeah, how much money you're going to drop. Some of these you're probably never going to play, but like when I see that the entire Ace Attorney series, which is my favorite franchise, is $3 a pop. Yeah, I'm going to tell people to go buy those. Like that's huge.
And that was a thing that I had been holding out because I was like, somebody's gonna have a fire sale. Like some publisher is gonna come out here and be like, all right, this game's $1. We just buy it, whatever. And I'm glad the Ace Attorney games did that because I've never played them. And they originally started on DS. That trilogy is on there. I think it's $3. So it's $1 each for them. And now I have the ability to play that, and that's great. I thought more publishers were going to do that.
Yep.
Granted, like I'm happy the Zelda games that if you don't have them at this point, because the physical releases are as expensive as they are, like they're $20 a piece. For both 3D remakes and Link Between Worlds. Like that's pretty great. Those are some of the best Zelda games ever made, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, and then I did go through and buy a few, but actually this whole process for me started a year ago when I actually put together the feature that's on IGN called over 100 Wii U and 3DS games that you should check out before the shops close. And that I got very little direction on that. They were just like, yeah, just go for it. We trust you. And I just kept writing down games, ended up with over 100 that I thought were worth it. And that wasn't my personal shopping list because a lot of them I already owned or some of them I wasn't personally interested in. But then I kind of started there from that list and then whittled it down further. And I was looking at 30 games I wanted to buy. And I'm like, okay, the final round of tests is going to be, do I actually see myself playing this within the next 5 years is what I asked myself. Right. And if I didn't, like, I just crossed it off the list, just painless, just eliminate it. And I ended up buying like 10 different games on the Wii U 3DS eShop. I bought F-Zero on SNES on 3DS just because why not? I already own that game in like 3 places, but why not? It's awesome on that little screen. But and then I bought the Oracle games. Even though they're coming to Switch Online, I just hate playing games on Switch Online. So I figured I'd like to own them downloaded. And then there's a couple Kirby games that are like little $5 downloadable titles that are kind of broken out versions of the sub games that exist in like Triple Deluxe or Planet Robobot. Like there's Kirby's Blowout Blast, which is actually like 3D Kirby before Forgotten Land. It's very simple. There's no copy abilities. You're just like running through these little obstacle courses, sucking enemies up to earn combo scores. I bought Kid Icarus on Game Boy, the Of Myths and Monsters, because I've never played that game before. I don't think it's very good, but there's only 3 games in the series, so why not grab that one? I grabbed the 2 Box Boy sequels that I've never played on 3DS, because I love the first Box Boy, and these I will absolutely play. That's
I'm glad you brought those up.
Box Boy and Bye Bye Box Boy. I grabbed both of those. And then I went, and this is my personal favorite pickup, I went and redeemed 1,000 points on my Nintendo for my Nintendo Picross Twilight Princess edition.
Nice.
3DS, so I grabbed that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good like digital only one. That's like a weird unicorn scenario where like you could only get that on my Nintendo. So if you're not aware of that and you like Picross or you just like Zelda and weird Nintendo stuff, like go claim that while you still can.
And then I think the big
I'm
Wii
sure
U,
you have the points if you're listening to the show.
absolutely. I still have some left after doing that.
Yeah.
And then on Wii U, I grabbed a couple virtual console things like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. It's like $100 plus physically, and it was on. I've never played a DS game on Wii U. I never messed with that. They looked so weird from the screenshots, but I grabbed that one because I love the Mystery Dungeon games. And then what else on Wii U? Affordable Space Adventures. I played on a friend's Wii U, and then I grabbed that one for myself. That's kind of the indie hit, and that was pretty much it. That's what I held myself to.
That's a solid list.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like
because Duck Hunt has pointer controls on Wii U, which is super.
Does
cool.
it really?
It does. Yep. You can play Duck Hunt with a Wii remote on Wii U.
I did not know that.
That one felt like grabbing. That feels like a big it's the only way to play Duck Hunt on modern systems at all.
On an LCD, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I may have to do that. I have like a pretty substantial list that I'm trimming the fat on now.
I'll help you. Let's do it.
Yeah. So the Box Boy games, because I've always been, and they're cheap enough.
Yeah. Totally.
I have this like, I feel like Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, but the problem with that game is the only way to get the full thing is to play the full thing and to continue to barter with Rusty because of how that game is set up. I just love the idea of that game. But I just downloaded it today for the first time. I had never played it because it's like free to play.
And I thought about that one, and I was like, I don't have the time the next week to go and haggle.
And that was that was my whole thought process as well. The Street Pass games, they added some like late into the console's life cycle, but the problem is like I'm not carrying my 3DS with me everywhere I go. I'm not Street Passing with anybody anymore. It was great when we lived like closer to the city, and Jess worked in Philly for a while, and she would do it, or we'd go to like the Zelda live concerts, and we get like hundreds when we were there. It was great. But like that time has come and gone. Harmonite is a game that I want to like, and when I played the demo, I'm like, I feel weird playing this as an adult. It's I play a lot of kiddie. Right? It is. It's a Game Freak game, Pokemon developers. It's a rhythm game. It's like, I like the art style a lot, but it's like almost too kiddish. Like I feel embarrassed to play it, which like I don't feel that way about a lot of games. I feel that way about Harmonite. I don't know why. Mario Party, the Top 100, which I don't feel like I need now, but I felt like I needed 4 years ago because Mario Party Superstars didn't exist yet. And now that it does, it's kind of like, well, this game is kind of null and void at this point.
And the minigame selection in Superstars is way better than supposedly the top 100. Who made that list? Like that?
Yeah, that list is not great. List. No. Mario Maker. I feel like that's one that you can get physically for pretty cheap. They made a lot of copies of that. Yeah. Rhythm Thief is a Sega game. It's a rhythm game. Mm-hmm. In-box copies, and it's only $20.
Oh, I forgot I bought that one. I forgot about that. I forgot to mention that one. I bought that. Yeah.
Did you get that one?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
In-box copies of it go for up to $500 on eBay.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's insane. Yeah. Federation Force, like I brought up. I have that one.
I would hunt down a physical copy of Federation Force if I were going to go for that one.
I'm toying with the idea of doing that and Hunters.
Hunters is a little pricier from what I've seen, I think.
It is. And that's why I'm toying around with the idea of it, because it would be something down the road.
Yeah.
Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright, or versus Phoenix Wright.
That game is expensive.
It is. Expensive. And it's only, it's regular. I think it's $30 on the eShop.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's like, I love the Professor Layton games.
I'll beat the drum here a little bit. Buy that game. Everybody should buy that one. That's one that I will support. That is so cool. The two biggest visual novel series on the DS having a crossover. I don't personally like it that much. I like Ace Attorney way more than Layton. I love Layton. But, the crossover is way more a Layton game with Ace Attorney characters in it than an Ace Attorney game. And they do have the courtroom stuff. It's there, but just kind of the vibe of it and kind of the way the story is written and plays out is very, very Layton and like Phoenix.
Okay.
And like the side characters feel more like Layton's quirky side characters than Ace Attorney's brand of weirdness, but it's still
Yeah.
a great game. And yeah, that one's not on sale, unfortunately, because Nintendo published it over here. But all the Ace Attorneys that Capcom published, like I said, $3. And the important PSA is that Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, which are Ace Attorney 5 and 6, were digital releases only. So these are not physical anywhere. And they have a DLC case that you have to go into the game to buy. So they're just going to be gone forever. I think they're on iOS, but who wants to?
What is that in?
Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice each have
Okay.
DLC. But the 3DS DLC is so bad, you have to go into the game to buy it. So yeah, that's there. That was another thing I did is on my second 3DS, I bought Ace Attorney 5 and 6 because they're digital only. And it's like, if they're gone, if my 3DS breaks, those are gone forever. So I backed them up by buying them on another system for $3 each.
Oh, that's right, because it's not tied to an account system. It's tied to the console.
Yes, which is just terrible.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is what I was saying at the top of this whole thing is like, it all feels a little futile in that when your console breaks, it's over. Like you're just done.
Well, especially the Wii U, like we've never really had a Nintendo system that, like, I have every Nintendo system and they all still work. Like the fact that the Wii U is already like dying is insane to me. Yeah. But anyway, the other one's the Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy. That's another one that it's like $80 on eBay.
And Miracle Mask, its predecessor, is also fairly expensive.
Miracle Mask, I actually have physically. I got that as a Christmas gift.
I got it this weekend physically.
Nice.
I got it at a store for $30. Couldn't believe it, and just bought it on the spot. Yeah,
I don't blame you.
Way more than that on eBay.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, other than that, yeah, those are like the main hitters for the 3DS. I did pick up Resident Evil: The Mercenaries was like $3.
That was one that I was always super interested in as a kid when that was first out, because that was a very early 3DS game, and I just never played it. I don't know, it just never happened.
That's why I got it.
Did you play Revelations?
I played almost all of Revelations on 3DS. I have it on PC now because they have since ported it on like everything because that's what Capcom do. But yeah, 3D. It was a good time on 3DS. It was like I think it was one of the first games that used the Circle Pad Pro.
Yep, it was.
When that was the thing.
Mm-hmm. It launched alongside that, I think.
Yeah.
I felt so silly last week when I was doing this because the account system is so messed up on 3DS and Wii U, my wallet on my 3DS XL, this Link Between Worlds 3DS XL, was already tied to my Switch balance. So I went and I just added money on my Switch, and then it popped up on my 3DS and Wii U. For my second 3DS, I had to make a new Nintendo account. I made a whole new email address, set up an entirely new Nintendo account, made a Nintendo ID, linked it, and I walked away. This whole experience, I walked away with an appreciation for the Switch. Seriously, because it's still not necessarily up to speed with the other consoles in many respects in terms of like shop user interface. Like the shop is a disaster. But in terms of just adding money, downloading games, knowing that if I buy another Switch, I can just re-download all of my software and save data, like, man, that's a huge leap forward that Nintendo made on the Switch. Like, and I think we all kind of maybe forgot how terrible it used to be trying to navigate these other two systems. Like downloading a game on Wii U is just horrible. Like it takes forever. You have to navigate to this weird data management menu to see its progress, and you can't do anything while it's happening. Like it's just awful.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I mean, even the 3DS download process is less than stellar, to say the least. And it's not even like a Wi-Fi connection thing. It's like literally the chip in the 3DS is like I can only process so many meg a second or kilobytes a second. Yeah. It's pretty bad.
A couple other games I'll shout out here before we move on. Rhythm Heaven Megamix, digital only.
Yes.
Phenomenal game.
I actually, when they first announced that this was happening like a year ago or whatever it was, that was the game I bought, that and the Mario and Luigi games.
Oh, nice. The Dream Team and the remakes and Paper Team.
I got, what was it? Bowser's Inside Story.
Nice.
And Dream Team I already had. Jessica got me that for my birthday one year. And then whatever the other one was.
Paper Jam. Superstar Saga. Those are the other two on 3DS.
Superstar Saga.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah. I think Paper Jam I already had. And
it's no good.
Don't remember liking it. Yeah. I remember not liking it at all.
Yeah. The Pushmo series is really great. There's Pushmo, Crashmo, Stretchmo, and Pushmo World on Wii U. So those are really, really good. Xenoblade Chronicles X is going away. Dr. Luigi is funny. I bought Dr. Luigi a year ago.
I like Dr. Luigi
because I never had it.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. There's some DLC that's going away. Like, this is super niche, but Sonic Lost World has a Zelda level, and you can run around as Link. Sonic dressed as Link, and like there's a loft wing, and like that's just a crazy little thing that's going away. Man, I love these consoles. Like, yeah, they had their problems, and that was brought back to me going through.
Well, for you, I think more than me, like this is a lot of your youth that is like disappearing. Yeah. Like for me, this is a part of my life where I was in college when all this was happening. Mm-hmm. Like you were high school, middle school era.
Yeah.
During all this.
Yeah, and that was back when I was exclusively Nintendo in my household. We had an Xbox, but it was my dad, so I didn't really play it that much. And so, yeah, the DS era, I was like, that's the most nostalgia, I would say. But I think the 3DS and Wii U era is like where I kind of became like a good video game player proper.
Yeah, like you kind of, you get it.
Things. And
yeah, exactly.
Kind of started to develop my taste a little bit. And like, I can think of a handful of games from 2013 to 2014 that were just like, dang, those are like formative games for me. Like A Link Between Worlds. Man, that game is just amazing. I have the best memories playing it. 3D World, Mario Kart 8, Smash Wii U, Splatoon 1. Like these things that were just so good that so few people were playing at the time that now everybody plays on Switch. But yeah, so it is kind of sad that we're moving on. But the Switch is a better console than these two. Even though it
is. And like I'll fire up the 3DS and I do get all nostalgic for it. And there are some games on it that I think do hold up really well. And it's not me saying like, these consoles are old and they're terrible. It's more just like the experience of playing like Metroid Prime remastered on the Switch on an OLED screen or on a 75-inch TV with GameCube Joy-Con.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. Like,
yeah.
It's really hard to go back. And unfortunately, like, I don't know if it's me getting older. I'm sure that's part of it, but like holding the 3DS is such a cramped experience. Like, I don't know how like my young hands used to deal with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I had bought like a grip for it that I imported from Japan, and like now all the rubber's like starting to deteriorate. I'm like, I feel like time is just fighting me, and like I'm not allowed to love these consoles anymore because they're just like not. And it's and this is the only generation of Nintendo that I have that like. There's a Super Nintendo sitting behind me, and I that thing still runs great. It's just such a weird era for them.
Yeah, but I love the Wii U. I've always defended the Wii U, even though I know it's not good. But a lot of the games were great. But I kind of used to say like my favorite Nintendo consoles are the GameCube and the Wii U. But kind of as we've gotten a little further removed from that gen, I'm like, man, the 3DS has one of the best libraries.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's an amazing, amazing library. So now that kind of Wii U has moved everything to Switch, like I think easily my three favorites are GameCube, 3DS, and Switch. Like those three have all my favorites. Yeah. Do you think the XL is too small to hold? Because I like holding the XL still.
I still do. And honestly, it's not like it's better. But it's the lack of a grip. Like any controller that doesn't have like meat on it, or like any handheld device that doesn't have meat on it, with the exception of my cell phone. Like I have the iPhone mini, which is fine for me because I think that, I think most phones are too big. I'm a weird person. I don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I love the XL still. And then I think the new 3DS is a little cramped because I have the normal XL and then the new standard size. And like I got F-Zero because SNES games for whatever reason were only on new 3DS. and like trying to play with the D-pad, which is like in the very bottom left corner of the bottom screen, and play F-Zero, and also hold the shoulder buttons, which remember are even smaller on the new 3DS because they add ZL and ZR. So like it's like,
Right.
man, like I am just like holding them in like this skeleton grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking a picture.
Yep. Last thing I want to show off here is I think the funniest piece of software Nintendo's ever released. What do you think it is? You have a guess?
Oh man,
Kind of bar none.
I don't know.
I think this is the funniest thing they've ever done. I still have this Nintendo 3DS ambassador certificate
Oh, dude!
on my 3DS. This is not the original 3DS, but I transferred it over. And yeah, if you don't know, this was 12 years ago now, but if you bought the 3DS between March and September of 2011 at its original price of $250 US, they cut the price to $170 6 months after launch because it was a total flop. And as an apology, they gave you 10 NES games and 10 GBA games. There's Chris holding up his. But not that would have been enough. But for some reason, they gave you this. It's literally a video. It is a 3-minute video of this certificate just playing on the top screen. And it's like, if you're done looking at this, hit home to go to the home screen. What is this thing? It's hilarious, though.
That was like the iPad had just come out, and everyone was still trying to figure out what was acceptable as an ad and what was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, the 3DS used to have downloadable trailers. You could download trailers for, like,
Dude.
Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart.
Here's what you need to do. So, actually, hold on. First of all, I didn't know that this was a thing until today, like 10 minutes before we hopped on. There is an app that if you don't have it downloaded, you should definitely get it. The Save Data Transfer Tool. Do you know what this is? I had no idea this existed.
I have a bunch of other crap that I've never used before. Poca Transporter. I have no idea.
If you own or owned if you own a physical copy, this only makes sense if you're like trying to get duplicate copies of games. Like, let's say you're like, all right, Ocarina of Time 3D. I have my save on a cartridge. God forbid I lose that cartridge, and I don't want to lose that save. This makes more sense for like Pokemon, probably. You can, if you own the digital copy of that game, you can copy your physical save over to your SD card, so you keep a copy of it. But it only makes sense if you own a digital and physical version of that game. Now that I'm talking about it out loud, it doesn't make sense with all this happening.
That's not much.
Yeah. Never mind.
That's cool though that they did that.
I had no idea they did that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 3DS had a weird mix of games that saved to the cart or saved to the console. Like it was like Smash saved to the console, but a lot of other things saved to the cart. Oh, I think another one I'll shout out real quick, and then we got to move on. We've been here for a while. Is the New Super Mario Bros. 2, which I think is a bad Mario game. I think it's like maybe the worst Mario game. I've said that here.
I agree.
But it has DLC that's actually kind of cool. It has the Coin Rush mode, which is like kind of actually a precursor to like Toad Rally in Mario Run a little bit. Where you're just try to do Coin Rush on these levels, get as many coins as you can, and then compare your scores with your friends. They made DLC levels for that you can go and get. And like some of them are like remade versions of like Mario 3 levels. Some of them are like the hardest levels they could come up with at the time. Like it's cool. It's a cool thing. And yeah, that DLC is all disappearing.
One more I'll shout out. I know this is a game you don't like. At least I think it's you. It's you or Odell. Ultimate NES Remix is only $20 on.
I like NES Remix.
Yeah. Is only $20 on the eShop. If you have any interest in that game is great, especially if you like the NES in any capacity. It's just a cool thing that I don't understand why it doesn't exist on the Switch. What I was going to say earlier, though, and this is the last thing I swear, is there's a video series. Well, really, there's 2 video series you should look up on the 3DS before they go away. There's the Pikmin videos that they made.
I think they uploaded those to YouTube.
They are, but like you can watch them in 3D.
Okay. Awesome.
Because the other one they also uploaded to YouTube, and that's Dinosaur Office, which if you've never watched
Oh
them,
my gosh, I forgot all
they
about
are
that.
like, yeah, and it's such a deep cut that if you had a 3DS at the time, because there were like three things on the 3DS eShop when this thing came out, and Dinosaur Office was one of them for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's just these little like puppet claymation dinosaur guys, like in little funny scenarios. They're like 5 or 6 minute videos. But they all talk like this, and I don't know.
Yeah, I totally forgot about those.
Yeah, they're so silly. It always made me laugh whenever I would watch those.
There's also, I didn't realize this. I bought Shovel Knight way back in 2014 on 3DS. And when I was just going through my games, it was like, upgrade to treasure trove. And I was like, oh, and now I just have every Shovel Knight thing on my 3DS, which I guess I didn't realize they still supported the whole
That
way.
was one that so that's actually on sale right now because I just got it on 3DS. I felt like I think it's the only console I didn't own Shovel Knight on.
Nice.
And it's like the original console that it was like meant for, that and the Wii U originally. And I was like, you know what? I should get this. It was only $4. So if you're that diehard of a Shovel Knight fan, why not?
Why not?
Why
All right.
not?
Off the top of your head, what's your favorite 3DS game? Number one.
I really like Link Between Worlds, like a lot.
Like, yeah.
My only problem with that game is I beat the whole game without dying. Like that game was too easy.
Play on hero mode. It's there.
It's certainly there. I wonder if I could do it again. I bet you I can't.
Yeah. No, I don't die in that game. I've played it like 5 times and I don't even know how many times I've died. Very few. Yeah, I think that I would go Link Between Worlds, or I love Kid Icarus Uprising.
Yeah, of course.
And the
Mario
Ace
Kart
Attorney
7 is
great.
a good one.
Oh, Mario Kart 7 is good. I feel like it's kind of Mario Kart. People don't talk about it.
It is. It's set up. It walks so that Mario Kart 8 could run, and I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
It's also like a core. There are like a few core games from me and my wife's relationship, and that is one of them. Like when we were in musicals, and we were off stage during rehearsals, I would sit there playing Mario Kart 7, and she would like I'd be in a chair, and she'd sit like on the floor and just watch me. And like that was our early stages of flirting. Thanks, Mario Kart 7.
Justin couldn't be here, but he sent me a message saying on the Wii U, don't forget about Nintendo Land. And there's an amazing port of Deus Ex Human Revolution. And then he also said New Super Mario Bros. U because of its gamepad functionality where you can create girders for people to jump on, which is only really in that version.
I totally forgot that game did that.
Yep.
Wow.
And then he also shouts out Hyrule Warriors, but that's on this. A much better version of that is on the Switch. A much, much better version.
Yeah, it kind of runs not great on the Wii U.
Yeah, it runs at 60 on the Switch, which is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, with very few drops. But all right, that's our.
I got that game before it released on the Wii U.
Oh yeah, because you used to have that connection, or still do.
I had a hookup.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you who it was.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay, it was Nintendo.
That's my secret.
It was Nintendo.
Mr.
Reggie.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Reggie.
All right, let's move on and talk about some quick news, which is the next Splatoon 3 Splatfest has been announced. I mentioned this one at the top of the show, but I really like this one's theme. It's which do you believe is real? The Loch Ness Monster, aliens, or Bigfoot? This is going to run on March 31st until April 2nd from 5 p.m. Pacific to 5 p.m. Pacific. Chris, what's your pick?
I'm really torn. So like my gut reaction is aliens, but there's a viral video out that came out, I want to say like a month and a half ago, of a guy in the woods and he encounters Bigfoot, and like if it's fake, it's real convincing.
Okay.
You don't know what I'm talking about, Google it, and you're going to be like, oh man, I might be Team Bigfoot because that looked like a real thing.
So, okay, you should go Bigfoot then.
I might have to.
I'm going Loch Ness Monster. I like that one. I don't know. I feel like the ocean's what we know the least about. That's not true.
Nessie.
We don't know anything about outer space either. So, but I'm going with Nessie. Also, I like the green. I like the green color of the team. So.
Oh yeah, what's Bigfoot's? Is it brown?
Aliens are purple and Bigfoot's orange.
I'm going aliens.
Oh, that got him to switch.
Yep, I like purple too much, man.
Cool. Yeah, but cool idea here. I'm liking the I'm liking the themes for Splatoon 3 Splatfests.
Same. They're doing a good job.
They still have to do a Zelda one though for Power, Wisdom, Courage.
Yeah,
next month.
they'll do it the week before Zelda comes out.
Yeah.
Which is in 51 days as of the day we're recording.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I can't believe it. Which means I leave for Japan in like 30 days, which is also unbelievable. That's coming up.
Oh my God.
All right, new Nintendo Switch Online games are out. They did their classic shadow drop at like 5 p.m., which is always annoying at work because like everyone just logs off, and then when did this 6:06 p.m. They're like, oh, by the way, these are out now. And it is Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Burger Time Deluxe on Game Boy, Side Pocket, which is like a billiards game on Super Nintendo, and I've never known how to say this on NES. This might be the first time in my life saying it out loud. Xevious? Xevious? I don't know.
No, you were right.
Xevious? Okay.
From my understanding, it is Xevious.
I thought so too. I've never said it before. But those are your selections. And I actually played a little bit of Kirby's Dream Land 2 because I've never played that one. And wow, it's really cool. It's a really cool Kirby game. It is a huge level up from Dreamland. It has copy abilities. It has his partners that you can like ride, like the fish that Kirby rides in his mouth, or the hamster Rick. Like it's really cool. It's a cool Game Boy game.
Yeah, I think I've only played that one like 1 or 2 times. But I remember, I mean, it is a direct sequel, right? Like it is. They do add enough to add the flavor, but I don't know. Kirby without the copy abilities just seems wrong.
Yeah, but he's got him in this one. He's got a parasol and a couple others. Yeah.
How many are in there?
I don't know. Not very many.
I was gonna say it can't be that many.
Yeah, and he still doesn't have like costumes for him, except unless he's holding something like the parasol. Like in Kirby's Adventure, he's just like in the bottom corner. It's like, you have fire right now. And he doesn't look like it.
Do the thing.
Yeah, you know what to do. Yeah. All right, PAX East is this weekend, which is why Justin's not here. He's going there, and he's going to give us the boardroom lowdown when he returns. And Tears of the Kingdom isn't going to be playable there, but there's this really awesome Tears of the Kingdom pin that I really want someone to get me. But I think that you only get one per customer, which is a shame. But it's him in the same pose as the amiibo, and I really like it, Chris.
Are you a pin guy?
No, I'm not at all. I don't care. But I think that we're just starting to get to the point where Tears of the Kingdom merch is rolling out, and I'm getting hyped.
You're like, I'll take anything.
Yeah. I was even scouring for the collector's edition, which I don't want. I don't want it. I've decided I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't like it. I'm getting it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think I'd be in the same boat as you though. If I didn't like secure it, I'd be like, I gotta get it. Like Wario 64 tweets would be on, and I'm constantly refreshing. You know,
I would have gotten it that day if I hadn't missed it by like a minute. I'd have an order secured.
They're gonna drop more.
I know. Don't let me do it. Yeah, I'm already buying the game in Japan. I'm buying a Japanese version, so I can buy.
Oh my God! You don't need this then.
And then sell it in 3 years.
Is the Japanese collector's edition any different?
No, it's all the same. But they did just announce this week that you get a fork and spoon if you pre-order the collector's edition in Japan, which is hilarious.
A real fork and spoon or a weapon fork and spoon?
Silverware. Yeah. And it just says The Legend of Zelda on the handle. It's hilarious.
Why aren't we getting this?
Yeah.
It's not why are they doing it?
Yeah, I
want a fork and spoon.
I was like, okay, Breath of the Wild has a ton of cooking, right? It's very associated with that.
Sure.
And I tried to justify it that way. But then I saw that they also did the same thing for Pokemon last year. Was you could get a fork if you pre-ordered Pokemon, which is just, I don't get it. I don't get it.
This is so weird to me.
Yeah.
What's funny is like if this were any other company, like if it was, I don't know, insert publisher here, I feel like they would ship this with the game, and then there would be like a letter that says like, "Do not actually use this to adjust food. This paint isn't." But because it's Nintendo, it's like, no, you could probably eat with that.
Yeah. But would you? I don't think you would. What would you do with this?
I feel like I would just go to lunch, like at work, and take it out of my lunch bag and set it on the table, just like, and then like get plasticware, just so people be like, yeah, I have this.
Hey, that's a slick Hollow Knight crew neck you're wearing. I just noticed.
Oh, thank you.
Where's that from?
Etsy.
Nice.
It's illegal.
Oh, nice. I pre-ordered the Tunic physical edition on Fangamer. Which one?
I came very close to getting that, but I have that game on Game Pass. it hasn't sucked me in enough to keep playing. But
Yeah.
I want to play it on PC and Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting, and they don't have a physical for that. So I was like, well,
yeah. I have it on.
But that plush is real cute.
I had it on Game Pass, but I no longer subscribe. I was not using it enough.
I'm letting mine lapse, and then I'm going to be done. Yeah.
I know. It just stacks up. It's like, if I were primarily an Xbox guy, what a deal that would be. But I'd turn on my Xbox like a month.
I can't do it. And honestly, like I realistically play one game a month. Like I'm still playing Metroid Prime Remastered because of how much I have going on. Yeah. And then Zelda's going to come out and it's going to be like, well, there's the year. There it goes.
That's it. I know. Yeah. All right. Next story here is the Fire Emblem Engage Xenologue is coming out on April 5th. A new trailer dropped on Twitter for this. This is kind of the big meat of the expansion pass, just kind of the formula Nintendo's had for its DLC on the Switch is this like multi-wave thing where the big thing comes at the end of the pass. But what surprised me here, the angle I want to take on this, is that usually it's like close to a year before you get the big DLC. Xenoblades still hasn't come out. How long were they sitting on this game? How long ago did they finish Fire Emblem Engage and have just been waiting to release it? Because this tells me it's been a long time, because we know they don't make DLC till the game's done. They don't. Nintendo doesn't do that. And it's coming out 2.5 months after launch.
Yeah, my guess is due to COVID-19, stuff shifted around, and they probably saw, well, Xenoblade comes out at this time, and that Venn diagram overlaps like a pretty good amount, I would imagine, the Xenoblade and Fire Emblem one. They probably were just sitting on it at this point. Prime Remaster's the same way. Like, we've been talking about that game for years, and it's like, well, we're getting to the end, like time to drop the bombs.
Yep.
You know?
And it's like, Prime is still version 1.0. That game has not received a patch.
I love it. They're like, nah, it's perfect the way it is. We don't have to do anything. We've been working on this thing for like 8 years.
Yeah, so that was just shocking to me. I was like, I was on the fence about this expansion pass because it adds a lot of cool like returning characters to the emblem ring thing. And I still haven't finished this game, so I probably am going to grab it now and finish the campaign with these new characters they've added. But I was like, but it's always so long to wait for the big story expansion. It's like, well, it's here now. So like by the time I finish this game, I'll just be able to roll right into that. And usually with me and DLC, it's once I put a game down, it's tough for me to pick it back up for a new DLC.
Of the same way.
And because usually DLC is not that good. Like, let's be real. It's usually really not. It's usually like more of the same, but without the peaks of the original game. Like Spider-Man's DLC was like, it was more Spider-Man. It was not very good.
Yeah. It was more content, but it's like, oh, there's a reason this wasn't in the main game. It's like the B-sides of the game.
Good. I don't like that DLC at all.
Trial of the Sword.
Yeah.
Trial of the Sword is like for a very specific type of player, though. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not for everyone.
But even the Champion's Ballad, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't really care for that either.
Yeah. I like the bike, though. I do like the bike.
I was upset about the bike because it was like, oh, cool. Now that I'm done going around this entire world on my feet, you give me a bike.
You ride a horse.
I rode a horse, but like, it would have been nice to have the bike at some point in the main. Yeah. Like all these people that waited 2 years to get the game, they're like, oh, I have the bike. And I'm like, oh, good for you. I didn't have it.
Yeah. But those are the quick news stories for the week. So that brings us to our listener questions, or EGAD's emails, as I believe we're supposed to refer to them. So let's get into that. You can always email the show at toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com with any Nintendo comment or question you have. We'll answer it here. This first one comes from Cody. I won't have much to say on this, actually, so I'm hoping that maybe Chris will. Who says, stellar episode this week. Thanks, Cody. I've been digging the new tracks for Mario Kart as well. Having not grown up playing Mario Kart, I first got into it after learning about Matthias Rustmeyer's epic 31 of 32 track world record saga. Do you know what that is, Chris?
I think that's a Wii speed run.
Yeah.
This is from a long time ago, though. Yeah. Like if this is the thing I'm thinking of.
And then Cody says, so close to perfection. Are you all in on the speedrunning scene any games you enjoy watching. I'll just say straight up, no, I am not into the speedrunning scene at all. I will watch really cool clips that I see scrolling through Twitter, but yeah, otherwise not really. I will say this feels like a cheap answer, but I think Breath of the Wild has the coolest stuff that people have figured out how to do in that game. Like the world record for the speedrun after that game, a week after launch, was like 52 minutes, since you could just hop off the plateau and go straight to the castle, and it's way faster now because people figure out how to like launch themselves across the world. So that one's cool. But yeah, I'm not super into the speedrunning scene.
Really, it's only for games that I'm, and I think this is the case for most people. It's like games that I'm tremendously passionate about, or games that I may be passionate about but not very good at, or like I can't imagine myself doing it. Hollow Knight being one of them. Like watching somebody play that, and I can't pick specific like streamers or anything like that. There's one fella that does The Last of Us, that he's like the Last of Us speedrunner. Unfortunately I don't remember his name, but I've used his videos in the past when I've done grounded runs in that game. He's pretty phenomenal and like introduced that game to like SGDQ and the speedrunning community, so that was cool. I really like what the guys at SGDQ this past season did with Ocarina of Time. They had that bot that they created that did all those like machine inputs to basically hack the game, and they could like insert code however they wanted. That was it. Yeah. I thought that was fascinating just from like a technical standpoint. And Banjo-Kazooie, obviously, just because like I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. The way that people have figured out how to like get jiggies when you're not supposed to and circumvent different areas and things like that. It's all stuff that I will never have the time to figure out how to do, but like it's a community that I respect deeply. But I tend to spend more of my time playing the games than watching them. And I generally feel that way about most streaming platforms. Like I'll listen to a podcast while I'm playing something, but I typically don't go on Twitch to watch somebody play something.
Same. I never do it. Literally, I'd never do it. I just don't. I think, I don't know if that's like just a different generation thing, but I know a ton of people in my generation do that, but I just never have. Yeah.
Some people, like some people my age that do it because they don't have as much time to play games, and then like they'll experience games that way. Like I have a buddy that he like watched all of Persona 5 while he was like working and doing stuff around the house and like, all that good stuff. So like to that end, I understand that. It's almost like reading an audiobook in that perspective. Or listening to an audiobook rather. But yeah, no, it's for the most part, it's not for me. I will watch some speedruns of like SGDQ and stuff like that though. I feel like that's when the big heavy hitters come out.
Sitting here thinking about it, I actually thought of a couple more that I do like, but I don't always seek these out. I just see them. I think it's insane that people are still setting new records for Super Mario Brothers. Like that's just wild to me because that is like such a short game because you only have to do like 5 levels to actually beat the whole thing. Yeah. And so I think that's nuts. And I always watch that because it takes like 4 minutes to watch when there's a new world record, so that's fun. And then a couple of games that are very much Logan games. I will sometimes look up world record times for monkey ball levels that are just insane. Like the things people have figured out on some of those with the physics and how you can launch yourself across these maps and then land.
You can clip on certain parts and
it's crazy. And then F-Zero GX has some really cool world record videos of just people going nuts on those. I think tool assisted speedruns are also interesting. I saw one for Mario Kart 64. It was like Luigi's Circuit or something like that. And basically they figured out this hack in the game where you could trick it by going fast enough into the wall right after the start finish line. You could trick it into thinking that you had finished the lap. So like what you do is you just like with your 3 mushrooms at the start of a time trial, you just take a hard left, pixel perfect, hit the exact right point in this wall, spam your mushrooms, and then it's like race finished 4 seconds. And it's like, who figured
there are a couple
That's so cool.
like that in Mario 64. Like there's Wario Stadium has one where you can jump over the wall. And if you just do that back and forth, like you can complete the entire circuit.
Yeah, but just not something I've been super into. I think it's super cool. Like I think some people are like, I don't like speedrunning. It breaks the game. It's like, yeah, sure. Games are unique because you can break them. Like you can't break a book or a movie.
Yeah.
But you can break a game, and I think that's pretty cool. And it makes it's impressive to see like how developers try to like make the player feel immersed in a world, especially in older games. Like Ocarina of Time, the way the speedrun breaks that game, like there's points you'll see it where it's like, oh, the sky in Hyrule Fields is just like a JPEG that's just like sitting there that you can like zoom out and see it. And it's just like, I think speedrunning kind of shines light on cool stuff like that too.
Yeah, I think the other component to it is like, as somebody who, me playing The Last of Us as many times as I did, and the way that I played that game, like, it's one of the only games that I started to get to a point where I was like, oh, I understand why people get into speedrunning, because it's like, I know the mechanics of that game and how the AI works, and like when you get certain weapons, when you should and shouldn't use a bottle in a certain location. Like, I know those so well that to do that so repetitively, like, and to chase that time, or shave time off of that, I totally get it. I think it's just and I feel this way about not just video games, but like even skill sets, or hobbies or whatever. I do a lot of different things, and I like to play a lot of different games, and to play like just the one game.
Yeah.
It kind of, it kind of takes away from like the hobby a little bit. I think that's the only reason I've never gotten into it, like personally, other than just time. But I could definitely see why people do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got one more question here. Comes from Tim, who says, hey guys, as they say often, Nintendo is gameplay first when deciding which IP they're going to create an installment for, opting for new IP when the gameplay doesn't fit their current roster. While Nintendo was pretty solid pumping out new IP for the first stretch of the Switch's life cycle, it feels like the latter third or so has been thin. So my question is, what kind of gameplay styles would you like to see Nintendo take a stab at that could warrant a new IP? Keep up the great work, guys. Thanks, Tim. All right, and I feel like I was actually listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago, and this was an old podcast, and they were talking about how, like, I don't know, it feels like they've kind of checked the boxes of most types of games, and I do think that's kind of true. Like, they have a take on most major genres, so I was kind of struggling to think of a new IP I think they should tackle.
First-person shooter is probably the only
Metroid
major
Prime?
one that jumps out. No, but I'm thinking from a multiplayer perspective.
Metroid Prime,
like, because even
Force.
get out of here now, because even like Prime 2 Echoes, while it did have a multiplayer mode, it wasn't known for that, and while I think there was a group of people that enjoyed that game, like, it didn't have an online community. Like, they've never been in a position where they just haven't had a game like that. They haven't had a Halo. They haven't had a Killzone.
I guess I think Splatoon
not that
is
I think they're. Yeah, Splatoon is probably the closest thing that they can get to that. The only reason I'm disassociating them is because it's third person.
Yeah.
But I think because Splatoon exists, I don't know that we would ever get a first person game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, like, racing game wise, like, it is Mario Kart 8. I do love these new tracks. Or at least I have played them all. There are definitely ones I don't like.
Yeah.
But F-Zero, like, I would love to see that. But new IP, yeah, it's tough. They need us. You know what? They need a stealth game.
I was actually going to say that next. Yeah.
They don't have a stealth game.
Yeah.
And it's a genre that a lot of people don't really go towards. Because I think there's a lot of people don't have the patience for it, and quite frankly, it's one of my favorite genres.
Yeah.
And it would be really cool to see them do like some kind of cartoony espionage, like, I don't know what you're stealing or what you're getting or whatever, but
yeah, that could be a good one. I don't know how wide of an appeal stealth games have.
That's the problem. Like, they, yeah, I don't think they would ever do it because of that. But then you think about things like Pikmin, where it's like that's kind of like RTS to an
yeah,
extent.
totally. Yeah. They don't. I just had one. They kind of do, but they haven't since the NES. They don't have a visual novel, which could be a cool thing. They have the Famicom Detective Club, which were like a revival of an old IP, but I don't know.
Yeah, but how well did those sell?
I saw something the other day that said that they did better than expected. So I don't know what that means. A visual novel is so cheap to make; it doesn't have to sell that much to make a profit. So I don't know. That could be cool. I love visual novels like Ace Attorney. Detective Pikachu was kind of that, but that's Pokemon Company. So I don't know. That could be something cool, but it wouldn't warrant a new IP. Like I said, Detective Pikachu was just like, no, Pokemon spinoff. But yeah, we did see a lot of new IP in the first half of the Switch. We saw 1-2 Switch,
Arms.
which not great. Arms, which is also not great. Sushi Striker was a new one. I don't know if anyone remembers that game. I liked that game. I actually thought it was okay. And then Labo is kind of a new IP. Astral Chain from Platinum is new. So yeah, there was a lot of new stuff, but nothing that totally blew up like Splatoon did on Wii U. To get
I think they thought Arms was gonna be like Splatoon. Yeah, totally, and then it just wasn't.
Yeah, they had. Oh, actually, I take it all back. They published a new IP visual novel in Japan only that didn't get localized. The Buddy Mission Bond. Did you ever hear about that game?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's a new IP detective game, that visual novel that never got brought over here, and I might buy it when I'm over there because I really looked cool, and I've been hoping for years for a localization, but it's not going to happen.
You know what they've never done?
What?
Never mind. I was going to say, and like, because as soon as I said this, you would have gone, "That's Zelda, you dingus," and like that's not where my head was at.
Okay.
I was gonna say they've never done a fantasy game, but like because Tears of the Kingdom is so not in the realm of like where the original Legend of Zelda is, it's just like not where my brain was at that moment.
Yeah, I think Tim stumped us a little bit. Because
a little bit.
I don't know. And then you say, like, what would warrant a new IP? I don't know, because I think any game that we just said could have been an old IP. Splatoon could have been Mario with Flood on his back. It could have been a Mario Universe shooter in the world of Super Mario Sunshine. Like, the crossover's totally there. I think there was even a thing about how, like, that was in the testing at one point, or like they started from there or something like that in an interview once. It's like they easily could have done that and chose to spin it off into something new. I think that Nintendo's IP are so flexible. You're like, oh, a party board game, a racing game, a soccer game. It's like an RPG. Mario has all of those. Mario has a strategy game now with Mario plus Rabbids. Like their IP are so flexible that I don't know if I agree with the thought that like that they only make a new IP when the gameplay doesn't fit the roster. I agree that they have a core concept, and then they're like, who do we give this to? We literally saw that happen in the Wii U era with Project Guard became Star Fox Guard. Like, they gave that idea to Star Fox. I don't necessarily think it means that happens that way every time. I think sometimes they're like, okay, it's time for a new Mario game. What do we do? I think they do that. Like, everybody does that.
I think that's part of it, but I do think that they have, it almost feels like they've gotten to a point where it's like, we know who the tentpole franchises are. Like, do we really need to recreate like a brand new world and a brand new cast of characters for people to memorize? How many people are in Smash Brothers? Yeah. Like, at what point is it enough? But in that same light, like, and I brought this up before, like, I can't help but be a little bit worried, excuse me, about a next generation Switch when you look at some of their tentpole franchises and you go, well, Smash Ultimate is as good as it's going to get, probably. Mario Kart 8 is probably as good as it's going to get, or at least I don't know what else you do with that game, and that's why I don't work at Nintendo. I'm not a designer or anything, but a lot of these titles that they have like really polished and shined at this point have reached a point of near perfection.
Yeah, I think that the only thing you could come up with is like a small handful of things I think could be better. Like rollback netcode would be huge. for Smash Brothers. It's
Well, and
online.
right, and that's like, it's unfortunate that that is the feature. You know what I mean? We're talking about infrastructure level changes, not gameplay ones. But unfortunately, because of the choices that Nintendo has made, I think that is the natural next step. Like, that has to happen, and there isn't really technologically, there isn't a reason that shouldn't be able to happen.
Yeah. And they're doing it right now, but I think it's time for these games to turn into platforms. I think it's time, like you say, oh, but it's called Mario Kart 8. It's like, it's called Destiny 2, and it's just out here. It's been existing for 9 years. I think it's about time for that for Mario Kart. Like, I want Mario Kart 8 to be on the next platform. I do, and I want it to get more content. I am enjoying the Booster Course Pass, but I think I've gotten used to the downgraded visuals. But when I play, like, Mute City on Mario Kart 8, and then
Oh my god.
And then I play, I don't know, insert Maple Treeway.
Insert City.
Gorgeous on the Wii and the 3DS that lost something in the bring over from Tour. I would love for them to sit down and create 48 more tracks that are new, not from Tour, that are actually new, like Yoshi's Island. Right? That's also going to be in Tour, but Yoshi's Island is amazing. Like, make new tracks at the fidelity of Mario Kart 8. I would love it if, instead of a bottom row being of retro tracks, because they pretty much exhausted that, give me a bottom row of crossover tracks. Still call it Mario Kart, but give me, like, here's the Zelda Cup. Here's the Sonic Cup, anyone? Like, come on. It's right there. It is.
I feel like that's the natural next generation of a lot of, at least the multiplayer content.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers did it. Mario Kart, like, dipped its toe in the water. I think Mario Party could do it, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It could introduce so many, like, it introduces the possibility, in at least in that case, of so many other types of mini games. And I think it's the type of thing that franchise desperately needs. Like, we've seen pretty much everything that you can do in, like, the Mario space. Like, we're dipping into the Super Nintendo at this point with Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
Like, why not have the Splatoon tracks and the Tears of the Kingdom tracks and all of that?
Yeah. And still call it Mario Kart. It's fine. It's fine. They proved that it works. Is that I think that a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be a Nintendo Kart. It's like, Mario Kart is too big of a brand to change. And I don't think you lose anything. I don't think there's anything you gain if you change the name to Nintendo Kart. I think it's a mistake.
Right.
I think they will keep it Mario Kart, but, like, yeah, Samus is in Mario Kart. Awesome. Because Mario Kart is more than just the Mushroom Kingdom. It's the brand at this point. Like, when you play Hyrule Circuit, there's toads that are just hanging out in Hyrule, and it's like, it works. It just all works because they create them in an art style that really works for Mario Kart. And I just want them to keep it that way, but change up the items too. Like, throw in, like, you got the crap boomerang no one cares about. Make it a Zelda boomerang. Like, just change things up a little bit. Like, I think
let me put on double dash mode.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 2 carts. Let me swap my items.
Oh yeah.
At the very least, let me do that.
Yeah.
If that update came out, that whole game would get a resurgence for like a month.
Oh, and actually, I had this idea the other day, talking to a friend about this. It's 16 drivers. It can handle it now. Up it to 16. They did it. They went from 8 to 12 before. Like, that would be really cool. Like, you got 16 people online with really good netcode. That's a dream. That's a dream for Nintendo. But that would revitalize it, I think, for a lot of people. But I think both with Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, I'm at the point where I don't want to hit the reset button again. I don't want to be like, all right, oh God, who's going to be in it? Oh, good, Captain Falcon's there. Phew, he made it in. Like, oh, there's Ness. Like, just, I think with how long games take to make now, I'm okay if they just do a little bit of bringing over the Switch versions and just like, oh, it's Fighters Pass Volume 3. We're back. Sakurai's back. He didn't agree to a full game, but he's here to do 2 more years of DLC. Like, sure, right. That'd be awesome. I'd be thrilled with that, and I don't think anyone would really be upset about that. That's just how games work now. Like Fortnite, Apex, Halo's trying and kind of failing at it. Call of Duty's even doing it to an extent. Like, yeah, games are platforms now, and I was hesitant about it for a long time, but with how good the current iterations of these games are, I don't want to move on to something else.
Well, it's only as good as the content that you put into it. And unfortunately, like, to Nintendo's detriment, like it's hard to, and I'm not saying everything that Destiny's put out is perfect.
Yeah.
It's not. But if you're talking about the percentage of quality tracks in Mario Kart 8 that they have put out versus the ones that are, how many city tracks do we not want to play? Like there are more of those. At least it feels that way. And it just seems very un-Nintendo of them. Like it is literally a case of quantity versus quality with this. That's my only fear, is that they would be like, well, we have the Mario Kart platform, but is each content drop going to be as good as here's the full release? Because that's what they've done, for the entirety of all their console life cycles.
Yeah. Because we haven't had that moment with Mario Kart.
That transition.
Since the Wii U. It's been since then. And that was 9 years in May ago. And I love Mario Kart. I get excited for the new track drops. I think that, like I said, Yoshi's Island is awesome. I'm thrilled to have Waluigi back. But nothing has compared to May 2014 when I got home and me and my whole family played through all 32 tracks in one blow. And it was like, oh my God, anti-gravity's crazy. Like they did it and it's cool. And wow, this Rainbow Road is insane. And it's the first Mario Kart in HD. Royal Raceway looks amazing. Like we haven't had that again. And that's one of my favorite days ever in Nintendo.
I think that's one of the things that, like, while I love the Switch and while, like, I think Breath of the Wild is probably like the moment for me with that. Yeah. There aren't that many like Mario Kart 8 moments where I remember playing that. You gotta, and I think the stakes play into it a little bit. Like the Wii U was out, nobody owned it, and Nintendo fans were starving. And like we played that game and we were like, what is this? Like this is the best thing I've ever played. Mm-hmm. And I'm still playing it 9 years later, 8.5 years later. And like that moment really only happened on launch day for me with the Switch. Mario Odyssey.
Oh yeah,
Mario Odyssey is a great game. Never mind. Yeah. But I feel like we had it in the early phases of the Switch's life cycle, and then a lot of it was here are Switch ports, which diehard Nintendo fans got.
I'm gonna disagree.
Indie titles.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was incredible when that came.
It was, and that came out at a very tough time in my life. I will say that.
Okay,
so that's probably part of it.
And Metroid Dread was one of those moments. I thought. Not as widespread, not as culturally impactful, but for us, the hardcore of the hardcore, getting that good of a single player Nintendo Metroid game was awesome. That was awesome when that happened. That's
true.
Yeah. So there's been some, but I think just when you think of Nintendo, I think you think of Mario Kart, Zelda, Smash. Like that's like the big, and Animal Crossing now. That's the big mainstream stuff. You could argue New Horizons had happened too, but that was a weird time for everybody when that was. So it's a different case.
I wonder. I think about it a lot. I wonder how popular that game would have gotten if it didn't come out during the pandemic.
So it would have sold 20 million for sure.
I don't think it would have sold that many.
Dude, New Leaf sold like 15. And this
you know what? You know what though? It's so weird because there's so many people that were like, I'm stuck in my house. I have nothing else to do. I don't have a Switch, and that was the problem. Was like people couldn't get one for months at that point, and one of their biggest like tentpole franchises had just dropped a release. Mm-hmm. If they had the Switches available, I bet you it would have sold more.
Yeah. Well, we got way out of bounds on this.
We totally did.
But I liked the discussion we just had. It's interesting, but I'm not Nintendo. I can evaluate what they do. I'm not the genius that can come up with what they're going to do. Like, we all scoffed at Splatoon when it was first shown, and look at it now. It's freaking huge and it's great. And I hear similar stories of when they showed Animal Crossing. Yeah, originally for the N64. It's like, what is this thing? And look at it now. Like, I love when they come out with new IP. I think it's very exciting when they do it. I do think it's time for another swing at that. I just don't know what it's going to be.
2D ARMS as a 2D fighter.
That's not new.
I don't care. I want to see it.
Okay. That could be cool. Yeah. I don't know. Min Min and Smash is weird. I don't know how.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But before they pump out anything new, it's time for them to pump out a new F-Zero. There was a rumor about that the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a rumor that GX is coming back, and I'm like, this is crap, but I don't care. I want it to be real.
Well, they've been
so bad.
Yeah, that rumor, and then the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ones keep circling the drain, and I'm like, come on, guys. Like, GameCube fans can't eat this well. Like, we just can't.
Yeah. The rumor, which I don't believe at all. I don't like to talk about rumors on this show, but the rumor I thought was a good idea, which is why whoever thought of it, was that Next Level Games is making GX, and I really like that pick. I think that they should. I like that pick for them.
They're doing what? That they're doing a remaster, or they're making it
of GX. Yeah.
Have they ever ported anything?
No. So it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't check out.
Yeah.
It doesn't check out.
Give Next Level a new F-Zero though. They're a good pick for a new F-Zero.
That's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm. I think they're a great pick for that. They make some of the most visually gorgeous games on Switch. Luigi's Mansion 3 looks amazing. They revived Punch-Out, and people liked it. They could revive F-Zero.
God, that game's so good.
So is Federation Force and Battle League, the other two Next Level projects we've gotten in the last decade.
Stop it. They did Federation Force?
Yeah. Yep. That was Next Level Games.
Oh my God.
Yep. All right. We got to go on that note. Thanks so much for sending in the questions to toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. That's another episode of our show on the books, a weekly Nintendo show here Thursdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Talking all the things Nintendo. Next week, we're going to talk about, what are we talking about next week, Chris?
Oh.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I don't know. We'll find out. There's the Mario movie's not out yet.
No.
We'll talk about that probably the week. Oh no, it's gonna be the week.
It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll
see what we're talking about next week. It'll be good though. We always pull it together. That wasn't the great plug for next week, but be sure to check us out.
Trust us. We'll have stuff to talk about.
We always do. But for now, you can find Chris online at
Shrives93.
You can find myself at Logan J. Plant. Find the show on Twitter at ToadstoolBR. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week. We'll catch you next time right here in the Toadstool Boardroom.
Wow.